It is pretty amazing how NASA is silenced all the time. They don't respond to us.
But then FaZe and all those guys will just say, oh, yeah, but you guys aren't important enough. You guys are all hoaxsters. Why would they want to bother with you guys?
Because it should be easy for you to show us up as being complete idiots if you agreed to discuss it with us, but you're not prepared to. That is what is so tragic about it. The question that was asked and my reply, you can see it.
Yeah, your reply was, it's been doctored.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem that they have is you were in a room full of very educated people. On that particular subject. It's not fly by night. They've been doing it forever. Space programs and all of the futuristic stuff. You know, imagination to reality. All that equipment could be run off a cell phone by this, you know, in today's world, but they so-called reproduced all of the equipment or so-called brought it back to life. And if they actually did, and it worked so well then, they could just sit down and use that control room.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, Marcus, I don't know if you've seen this one yet, but Raza sent me this video from TikTok, and we were kind of taking a look at it. And these guys are trying to claim that this was from the Mercury space program. Of course, it's a fake.
Gemini 4 first spacewalk.
That's the one, yes. Now, I put this in the editor, and I wanted to see You could actually see if you reverse the editor and you chroma key out the black, you can actually see the wires coming down to that harness right up here, like up closer up to the top of the shoulder blades. But you'll see that the Earth is going in the wrong direction. It's spinning opposite. So it's actually going from east to west, like it's going this way.
Yeah.
But in this video, it's going the opposite. It's going from west to east. And when you see the Earth, how fast the Earth is actually moving in the background, it would mean the Earth's doing at least 4, maybe 5 times the speed that it normally would, because they overlay the numbers and everything. And I says, yeah, well, that's easy now in this editor. I just take a page or anything and I can chroma key the background out just to get the letters and all the goodies on there. You just overlay that on top of any Apollo video. Boom, now you have the old-fashioned counter counting down, right? This is how they did it.
It's yet more fabrication, desperately trying to maintain the story of Apollo. You have Gemini, you have Mercury. That was all part of the Apollo program. And if they got it wrong because they didn't understand how film would work and project in space, it's now available for us all to see. Mm-hmm. So more and more information is now coming to light. I mean, the fact that you can identify the fact that the Earth is spinning in the wrong direction, because the Earth always spins in the same direction. It goes from east to west. Mm-hmm. You get it wrong, it's there for all to see. And anybody intelligent enough to be able to spot it can identify it, and NASA cannot refute it. They can ignore it, and they can get all their talking heads coming on saying what wonderful people they all are. It doesn't mean to say it makes it right. It just means that they are complicit in the fraud. 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 Fraud.
The Week in Space. CBS News' selective coverage of the mission of Gemini 9. Now the docking in space of Gemini 9 and its target vehicle. Reporting from the CBS News Space Center at the McDonnell Aircraft Plant in St. Louis, correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Everything is going very well with Gemini 9. Stafford and Cernan have chased that target vehicle 70,000 miles, 3 times around the Earth at their orbital speed of 17,500 miles an hour. They have adjusted their orbit upward from the orbit into which they were launched, 100 miles by 168 miles at its peak, to the 185-mile circular orbit of the unmanned target vehicle. And they are now within a mile of the target vehicle as they hurtle over the Pacific Ocean on their 3rd revolution. They are out of touch, however, with ground stations. The last station was at Carnarvon, Australia, on the western coast of Australia, and at that point they reported they were within a mile of the target vehicle. They are supposed to stay out at about that distance, keeping a station, a close eye on the target, perhaps moving into within 100 feet or so of the target vehicle as they approach Hawaii, where they will next be picked up in communication with the ground in about another 10 to 15 minutes. At that time, we expect to know definitely whether or not the target vehicle did drop, as it was supposed to, upon launch Wednesday, the shroud which covers the target, the adapter, the cone, the point at which the 2 spacecraft will actually join together. If that shroud has been dropped, then this mission goes ahead as planned. If it has not been dropped, then other plans will be made for the mission. At any rate, so far it's going well. They have had trouble with their onboard computer, but at Houston, the Manned Space Center, they say that this should not hinder the rest of the operation, and they can go ahead as they are. Hawaii is supposed to acquire the spacecraft at approximately, 2 more minutes from now. But they're giving it a little more time and saying it might be as much as 10 minutes before they're able to get information from the spacecraft. And that information, the first they'll want to know is whether or not the shroud is on the target vehicle. We have some feeling here at the McDonnell plant at St. Louis, where our Space Center has moved from Cape Kennedy. We flew up from Cape Kennedy right after the launch and are here now. with Dave Shoemaker and Bob Sharp of McDonald, who have been holding down the fort here at St. Louis so splendidly. And back there in the spacecraft behind me, perhaps they can tell us what the indications are, Dave and Bob, that we have that shroud may have been dropped.
Well, Walter, I plan to collect several cups of coffee over Bob's assurances here that that shroud was going to be off, and the best indication now seems to be two blinking lights, those lights that Cernan said exultantly, "I've got them." Bob, what does that mean, those lights?
Well, those lights are normally under the shroud. They are on a spring mechanism that retracts back in behind the docking cone. So the shroud has to leave, and then the docking cone has to extend before these lights can be released and they fly out. So if they've seen the lights, that means they're out, and the docking cone is, or the shroud is.
Boredom. Life can be great in an Olds 88. Terrific trio. Rich in looks. Get this 88. Delta 88. Fabulous fabrics and a body. Beautiful. That just won't quit. And look. Dynamic 88. Style? Got the others beat by a mile. Power, up to 365 horses. But wait, here's another goodie. Jetstar 88. Big car room. Rollicking rocket action. Yet priced down low for extra savings. So, get a man-sized deal from your Olds dealer. A man who has everything for you.